Welcome and good afternoon to Kingston, Jamaica. We're coming to you from the Tony Spalding Sports Complex, the home of our Premier League team, Arnett Gardens, and it's the third place playoff in the Flow Caribbean Club Football Championships here on a bright and sunny Sunday afternoon. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers watching, and we wish for you a very, very good rest of the day. For those of you who are sitting watching the commentary, we hope that you enjoy it as much as the others who are watching will be enjoying as well. As you see on the screen, it's Portmore United versus Central out of Trinidad and Tobago, and right to screen, it's the final that comes up a little later on. It's Atletico Pantoja against Arnett Gardens, the home team, and we expect to see a huge crowd here later on this evening for that final. But what we have right now and in front of us and in our plate is the third place playoff. My name is Wayne Walker once again, introducing Orville Higgins, our co-commentator. Orville, Central against Portmore United, a third place playoff. Both teams, no matter what, will end up with $15,000, but there's a different tier that the winner will fall in as opposed to the fourth, because the fourth place team has a game on Wednesday against Francis Kane of Martinique to decide who goes to another tournament. But forget all of that. Look at the game in and of itself. Portmore against Central. They met in the group stages coming here. Portmore winning 2-0. They have the psychological advantage coming in.
Indeed, third place playoff win, as I was saying a little bit earlier, does have the tendency to be one of two things. Either they can be drab affairs, as both teams feel that there's really nothing to play for coming off the disappointment of not making a final. In this case, there is that added incentive to advance to another tournament. But I get the feeling that both these two teams are going to be playing open, attractive, attacking football with absolutely nothing they feel to lose. I expect to see a contest where there should be some goals.
So the Central team wearing as close as possible to the Trinidad national colors. They're minus the black, but it's black, white and red. Now they are sporting just white and red, and they are representatives of Trinidad and Tobago. That's the Portmore team in blue and white. That's their traditional colors. They're wearing white stockings today. On Friday night they sported white, full white, looking pretty much like the Lily Whites, the Galacticos out of Real Madrid. The officials for this afternoon, they're standing in the middle of the park and getting ready to get this game underway. It's Kimball Ward, and he comes out of St. Kitts and Nevis. Iroot Appleton, he worked on Friday night. And of course, Zachary Zigilar out of Suriname. Those are the ones. All right, let's have a look at the team news. The Central team, they're employing two new faces tonight. Dwayne Muckett, who came on as a substitute, he comes in tonight for Kieran Cummings, the number 10, who really ran amok in the second half of that game. And of course, the other change that they're showing is Jason McCardo. He comes in for Tyrone Charles. And of course, both Charles and Cummings have been put to the bench. They hope, I'm sure, to see a bit of action a little later on this evening. Of course, Denzel Tibble, the captain of the Central team, just meeting Ewan Grandison, the captain of the Portmore United team. The spinning of the toss been done, and it does seem as if Tibble has won it, and he'll decide where he wants to kick first. Of course, it's a confirmation to the left of screen of the officials who will be taking charge of this game here this afternoon. I can't say it enough. It's a very bright and sunny Sunday afternoon. Very good conditions for playing. Normally the players don't like the sunny conditions, but what we're experiencing, Orville, also is a nice breeze passing across the ground, so that should help.
Indeed, it should help when maybe a little bit difficult for the commentators at certain points. But it's interesting that they have gone, well, this is the Portmore United lineup we're seeing on the screen.
They're showing three changes at the moment. Of course, you remember Kemar Philpotts, he suffered an injury, so he's out of this game totally. And coming in for him is Shavani Willis. Portmore actually showing three changes. The two at the bottom, the 19 and the 21, Rosario Harriet and Henrico Ricketts. They're replacing Venton Evans and Siniki Burton. They're both on the bench today, and they too will be hoping to see some action. Of course, Shavar Thomas, a very disappointed man on Friday, hoping to see something better tonight. So that's the substitute. The Burton also on the bench. Philpotts also on the bench. So we should be seeing a very good game. It's a nice breeze, not too heavy. Shouldn't affect the flow of the game. Shouldn't affect the trajectory of the ball too much. It's just a nice enough breeze to kind of balance out the bright sunny conditions that's prevailing.
I was making the point that the fact that the Central FC team went for Muckett in addition to Theobald shows that they want to control the midfield a little bit more than they did the last time around. Both are very similar players. Look out for the number 27 and the number 18 for the Central FC team. They have gone for a side to maintain more possession in the middle of the park and hope that that is what they can use to nullify the hard-running Portmore team.
So Portmore will get us on the way. And the man standing over the ball, Javanese, he got a double on Friday night. He's a goal scorer supreme. And one of the goals, the second of his two items on the night, a bit fortuitous. Ball fell for him after some calamitous defending, and we're on the way here at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex, just from where we're perched atop the bleachers, if you like. That's the opposite end to the main stand. The field is looking in lush green conditions. Of course, the Concacaf specification is that no training or anything else should take place here whilst the tournament is on. So the teams have to be training up at the JFF Center of Excellence. So Central in red and white. This is Cyrus. Unmistakable size of Cyrus. His size loomed large in that crunch semi-final game against Arnett Gardens on Friday night. Grandison, captain of Portmore East, with an early opportunity. Really should have made that count. And we're just looking at barely 40 seconds in the game, and Portmore United really should have done a lot better with that.
A brilliant cross coming in from that outside left position. Javanese, look at him darting in, trying to get behind the defender. Not his favorite foot, that left-footed effort, but it was a fair effort. Managing to just squeeze behind the center half, reeled off a shot. He's brilliant at finding himself in the right positions at the right time. And that's the first attacking move from Portmore.
Central, in the middle of the park, doing Muckett. Had a good game when he came off the bench on Friday night. Coach Stern John would have seen enough to convince him that this boy needs to play from the start. He's playing with the ball.
He's one of those players, Wayne, that will ensure that they maintain a little bit more possession. Here is he. They feel that they needed to control a little bit more of the middle of the park, and that is why Muckett has started. I think this is a good move by the Trinidad coach.
Similar approach to the start on Friday night. They played with the ball a lot in their own area in the early piece, and they're doing just the same today. It's a 5 o'clock kickoff simply because it's a play to the finish, and they want to make sure that they give enough time to facilitate extra time and penalties if those become necessary.
Both teams, Wayne, are definitely making an effort to pass it around. We are seeing that neither team is making too much of a direct path to goal. They are ensuring that both sets of midfielders are used, and that's one of the things we're noticing in the early exchanges.
Footballers have good memories, and the Central team would very well and very much remember what Portmore United did to them 2 months ago over in the Dominican Republic. They beat them by 2-0. Portmore, I'm sure, would want a replica of that performance, or to replicate that performance. And one of the players who will be central to that was the man who just let the ball go, Ewan Grandison. They call him Butter. He looms large as presence and influence in the middle of the park for them. Here's Central coming forward. Jamil Neptune had a good game on the left side, the left channel on Friday night. Came into his own just like most of his teammates in the second half when the game was getting away from them. But now they're looking a bit more sprightly, looking like they have a taste for it. This is Neptune. He's trying to play the give and go. Akeem Armstrong. Throw into the Central team.
Yeah, one of the things we're noticing about this game as well, Wayne, Rosario Harriet, who played on the left side in the last game, I was a little bit surprised. This time around, he's more where he's accustomed to in that right full-back position.
Jared London gets a return from Neptune. Cyrus. Tarek Sampson had a quiet game on Friday night. He was quietly efficient, if you like. Didn't see a great deal of him, but he was doing a lot. Here he's on the ball, right on cue. And he brings the big Cyrus. Muckett. Nice sharing of the football early in the game. Approaching 4 minutes. We remind you, it's a third place playoff, and it's a Flow Caribbean Club Football Championships on Flow Sports 1. I would just like to say welcome, and I suppose good evening to the viewers over in the Eastern Caribbean. And at the end of the regular time, if the scores are level, they'll bypass extra time and go straight to the taking of penalties. Want enough time to build up the final.
All right, here's Ewan Grandison. As I said the last time, when he plays well, the Portmore number 17, Portmore tend to play well. He's not seen enough of the ball as somebody who's playing in a similar position as in Muckett for the opposing team. And Portmore will want to have him having a little bit more touches of the ball.
Morris on the ball for Portmore. Flicks the ball forward. Javanese was the target. Wanted a bit more height on that one and a bit more pace maybe. But again, the players have got to be very, very, very careful how they pass this football, because there's a breeze swirling around in the middle of the park. It's not very, very strong, but strong enough to change the trajectory from where the ball is intended. This is Grandison. He's bulldozing his way forward, directing traffic at the same time. Willis is in front of him, but he decides to use the option in Solomon, and Solomon brings Ricketts, Sosani into the play. So Portmore moving the ball around the width of this field. Just now the lines of communication between Harriet and Ricketts got a bit mixed up, and it allows Muckett to get into the action. So
Muckett has come in, Wayne, and he's doing what Theobald was doing in the final game, which is the direct proceedings. Theobald, well, he's on the ball now, but he hasn't seen as much of the ball as Muckett, who was a substitute in the last game. I think the more both of these are on the ball, the better this Central FC team will play.
Central. The attack is centered over on the far side. Nice give and go. I like the look of this Central team early in this game. They look a bit more up for it than they did against Arnett Gardens. McCarter was the target man. He has just playing off him. Muckett probably want to capitalize on the scrapsies. Dangerous moments here for Portmore United. First touch of Muckett wasn't the greatest. And again, it bears out the point of having a very good first touch. It allows you to do so much more with the football. A long 25-yard pass there from Willis. And Javanese didn't have the legs to get to it. And it runs away for a Central throw.
You don't want Javanese to be chasing the ball into wide areas like that close to the corner flag. You want him posted up in and around the box. He's such a clinical finisher that you don't want him to be doing too much work away from the goal. And that time around, he chased for all it was worth, but he was never ever going to get that.
7 minutes gone in the game. We're yet to see the goalkeepers brought into action. And the respective teams would not be too unhappy with that. They don't want the ball anywhere near their goalkeepers. This is Neptune. Big, bold 22 in the back of his red and white shirt for Central. It's a 6-year-old club. Very young, but they've achieved a lot in their short space of existence. This is Muckett. This dreadlock flowing in the breeze. Goes for a shot. Was charged down there that time by Asani Ricketts. Gives Zaria Harriet an opportunity to clear the ball, which he failed to do. And because of that, it results in possession back for Central. They're moving the ball around nicely. They're moving Portmore around the field. Tell you what, it's very little between the teams in terms of ball possession percentage.
Yeah, there is. They're sharing the ball quite nicely between them, but neither team has yet been able, except for that opportunity that went to Javanese, to really put themselves in a very dangerous position. It's for the most part just knocking it around in midfield, almost as if these two teams have too much respect for each other. I expect to see a little bit more direct play from one of the teams in pretty short order.
Here's Willis. Did well to get a start today. Grandison surveying his options. Tries to pick out Harriet, but Cyrus was a pace or two ahead of him. And maybe 7 or 8, maybe 9 pounds bigger body mass. But he matches up well with him because they're almost identical size if you look at them from a distance.
Yeah.
Also the same height as well.
And Harriet will be utilized down this right-hand side attack for this Portmore team. Isn't as slippery in terms of pace as he was 3 or 4 seasons ago. But he will be utilized. He's been brought to the right-hand side as opposed to the left, and we expect to see him going down this right-hand side a little bit more regularly as the game unfolds.
$50,000 a little later on. Total of $80,000 on the table. The team that finishes second will take home 30. These two teams will split down the middle, $30,000 at the end of this game, irrespective of which way it goes. The only advantage to the winner is that they go into the higher tier of the number of competitions being organized by the Concacaf. Cyrus. Central not used to being in positions like these. They've won this title 2 times before. Out of 6 years in the competition, they've been to 4 finals. So one of possibly the most consistent of all the teams in the region in this tournament, in the modern era of this tournament.
They're knocking it around nicely, Wayne, but they're not managing to get their 2 strikers involved. Marcano or the number 8 Armstrong. They're knocking it around, but for the most part, their 2 strikers have had very little to do in the Portmore box. They want to get 1 or 2 passes behind the defenders.
All right, so look at the ball possession percentage. Oh, my goodness, it's almost twice as much. Central more than edging it. They're bossing the football. And Portmore United, I'm sure they won't worry too much about that. What they want to make sure is that they keep them out, and when they have the opportunities, they take them. Ball from Muckett. Was appealing for a handball. Referee Ward was almost, what, 5, maybe 10 meters away from the play. So he was in a very good position to say whether or not it was a handball. And he didn't even look at it.
Stern John applauding his team. He's liking how they look. They're certainly bossing the possession. I did say that they wanted to control the midfield, which is why they allowed Muckett, the dreadlock number 27, to start. He's probably the man of the game so far. He's had a lot of possession. His decision-making has been sound. Portmore is struggling to keep up in terms of possessing the football, but so far Central FC not making it count.
Headed away by Portmore. Here's Muckett. He's playing a Javi kind of role that Javi played for Barcelona. He sees a lot of the football. His passes are normally safe, but he floats around. He pops up everywhere around the field, almost as if he gets a free roll, and he gets a chance to influence the game a lot more than anybody else because of the free roll that he apparently has, and he's playing it well.
Portmore just finding it a little to settle down when they're not quite sure. They're not established the rhythm as yet, almost as if they are not quite sure what exact strategy they ought to be using. Started off a little slowly.
Of course, Portmore United would know this field not a little, but a lot more than the Central team. But closer inspection will tell you that it's not a happy hunting ground for them, even though their knowledge of it is far superior to that of the Central teams, clearly, because the Central team doesn't play here. But they don't do very well here, you know, Portmore United. On Friday night, it was just the latest exhibition of that poor record that they have here at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex.
That's Muckett again making another long pass. So he's demonstrated that not only is he prepared to make those quick snappy passes in midfield, but he was also prepared to spray one maybe 40 yards across the field. He's the man that Portmore has got to shut down. The number 27, the dreadlocks Muckett, he's really looked like a man in charge this afternoon so far.
He's a player who is capable of doing what Muckett is doing and so much more. Ricardo Morris, yet to really hit his stride. He came out in the latter stages on Friday night and showed glimpses of what we know this guy's really, really capable of. A national football player, right on cue, he's in possession. And he brings rickets of the Osani variety into the play. Here's a player who is growing in stature, Demana Solomon. Romaldo Johnson. Willis. No Grandison. Short, safe passes by Portmore United. They're trying to prize open, try to pull the Central players out of possession, out of positions on the field. And now Harriet has an opportunity to deliver a good cross. It wasn't a bad cross, but it was met with equal efficiency by the number 12 for the Central team, Tariq Salmon, at a corner. The first of the game for either team, coming on 13, heading into 14 minutes.
Rosario Harriet not as nimble as he was a few years ago, so he doesn't overlap as well. So he's pretty much playing a wide wing role at the moment. Got a good cross in after that great pass from Grandison, and got the cross in for a header. He has got to be involved in a heavy way if Portmore is to do well.
Corner from the near side. Portmore, they have committed bodies forward. There are 5 players in the box. There's a bit of shoving going on. Referee Ward just going to sort things out to make sure that everything is to his liking, and the players play according to his rule. So you could throw a blanket over the players in the center. Look at them, all of them bunched up. You could throw a blanket over all the players there. They're so close to each other. A poor corner in the end. Ricardo Morris, and that's a reflection of the kind of form that we've seen him in the last 2 games at the very least.
I just think Ricardo Morris has lost so much pace.
Let's have a look at this. This is what they appealed for just now.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
Well, it's clearly the referee could not have, in his right mind, give something like that.
I was saying about Ricardo Morris when he has, I think his best game is when he goes at people. But let's just watch this play. He's lost it. He isn't as adept at taking on defenders as he was 2-3 seasons ago. The Portmore number 8 can still be lethal, but he's lost a step or two, and maybe he's just lost a bit of confidence in the process as well.
Central in possession. Sampson. London losing possession, tugging the shirt of the forward moving player, and it does East. The yellow card should definitely come out. The referee searching for it.
Yeah.
And
yellow card for London, definitely tugging back his man.
He was careless in the first place to lose possession of the football. Let's take a look at it again. Here he is, actually pulling the shorts off Javanese. That looks revealing his undergarment.
Looks a little untidy. You don't want a striker to do that to you. And a little embarrassing that he got so much past you that you almost had to be taking the shorts off. Deserved yellow card for London. And you never want your centre halves to get a yellow card this early in the game, when you always want then to have that, as I've heard Bertus Bell saying so often, a yellow card tackle in the pocket. But when you get a yellow card in the first 15, 16 minutes, it means he now has to be careful for the rest of the game.
This is very dangerous. Normally, this is Johan Grandison's territory. This is 20 yards out, 19 and a half. And if Grandison gets a good purchase on this, as good as Marvin Phillip is, this is going to beat him if he gets a good purchase on it. A wall has been constructed that involves almost the entire central team. East has found his way in it, and maybe, you know, Grandison would want to go there when East makes his move, because East will have to move very, very quickly. As soon as Grandison gets to the football, East will try to disappear from that spot to give him the opportunity to fight. There he is. And nice build-up, but a disappointing end to what could have been a wonderful free kick.
It was obvious what he was trying to do, to curl it to the far post. Intention was right, but the kick
execution wasn't.
Yeah, just kicked a little bit too high. Not the worst of free kicks, but not challenging the keeper.
His facial expression post that free kick tells a story. He knew that it wasn't the Grandison kind of free kicks that he's been delighting crowds up and down the country in the Premier League for the last 9 months with. Now this is McCarno, very nippy little player. This is irrepressible. You've got to make sure you keep a tab on him. He's very fast, lively in the area, and it's almost as if the ball finds him wherever he is once he's in the 18-yard area. And I'm sure Portmore United would have seen him on Friday night and know exactly what he's capable of. They're seeing him close up for maybe the second time, because he played against them in that game over in the Dom Rep a couple of months ago. Throw into Portmore. Actually, it is Central's throw, and there's Turn John just looking around, pensive. Can't read from his facial expression whether he's happy or not. We're at 17 minutes, 18 minutes have passed, and he's managed to keep a clean sheet so far. Remind you, it's a play to the finish minus the extra time. If they're locked up at the end of regular time, they'll go straight to the taking of penalties.
Yeah, one of the things that this Central FC team isn't doing in and around the box is make those quick passes. They do well in the middle of the field. Let's just watch this throw.
Ball bubbling around the area. Now Willis get a chance to get it away. And a shot coming in there from Muckett. He was falling away, wasn't in control of himself, and eventually wasn't in control of the shot.
Yeah, he's seen a lot of the football, but the point I was making is that the Central FC team, they do very well at bouncing the ball in and around the park. But just around the box, when you want the passes to be a little bit quicker in between the strikers or the attacking midfielders, just to confuse the defenders, they tend to be allowing their pass to be telegraphed and easily read by the Portmore defenders for the most part. They want just a little bit more quickness in the way they distribute their passes in the final third.
So if you've just turned your television sets on and wondering what is this you're watching and who is that talking, well, my name is Wayne Walker. I'm working out with Orville Higgins, and we're coming to you live on Flow Sports 1 from Tony Spalding Sports Complex in Jamaica's capital, Kingston, and you're watching the third place playoff in the Caribbean Club Football Championship. It's between Portmore United of Jamaica in the blue and white and Central FC out of Trinidad and Tobago, obviously, in the red and white. It's goalless, as the scoreline at the top left-hand corner of your screen is suggesting, and it's been a nice, decent game so far without the goalkeepers getting involved.
A lot of work in the middle of the park. We keep saying it. Neither team managing to find too many of those outlet direct passes. Portmore has been, if anything, a little bit better at it.
Good move there from Rosario Harriet. Managing to get around the man. Good cross. And Lynch arriving. Didn't manage to get the kind of precision on that header, but the thinking behind that was brilliant. He arrived just about the right time. Just didn't manage to get the precision on, but it's a good move, a good team move from Portmore.
Lovely, lovely move that from Rosario Harriet. He's known in his heyday to be very good at overlapping and squaring the ball. He's not doing too much overlapping now because he's not coming from as far back defensively, but that was a brilliant cross, and Jeremy Lynch rose well, did well to out-jump the centre half, but just did not place it. They should be reasonably happy. They are better able at getting the ball in that final third behind the defenders. They're doing better at that than the Central FC team. And if this was a game on points, maybe Portmore would be marginally ahead at the moment.
The general flow of play gives the feel of two teams who are in a group, already advanced to the next round, and having just to honor the fixture. Not doing too much, not doing too little. Just playing within themselves. And that's a feel you get so far, because the goalkeepers are yet to really get a good touch of the football. And thought we'd get something on that play, but Willis was in the way, and the Central takes possession. This is Neptune. That's keeping away from East. This is Tibble. Neptune. And he brings London in to the play, the only player so far cautioned. Pulling off the shorts almost of Javon East. Seen very few cards in the 2.5 games we've seen so far, or 2.25 games that we've seen so far. And a throw to Central. And this is a game that is screaming for a goal to take it to another level. Players, you just get the impression they're not yet out of second gear, and a goal would definitely change that.
Yeah, they're not as expressive in that final third. They're playing goodish enough football, but neither team at the moment being overly adventurous in terms of attack. They're still playing a little within themselves, you'd have to say.
And let's not forget, it's a third place playoff, for goodness sake. It's just a Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago element that I'm sure keep a lot of people interested. But it's a third place game, and it is what it is. More so, they're not getting more than the other in terms of the prize money. But Harriet picks up the loose ball for Portmore United inside his own half. His captain Grandison picks out Morris, and Morris is looking now to pick out Lynch. Lynch taking just maybe a meter or two away from the goal. That was a disappointing cross. That almost went badly for Central.
What was that? I'm sure that Lynch didn't attempt that. He was attempting to get the ball more across the face of goal. No, he did it deliberately. But the number 12 for the Central FC team, that's Sampson, in a little mix-up with his goalkeeper, lack of communication as to who to go for the ball, and in the end it almost sneaked past the near post.
Harriet and Ricketts working in tandem. The size of the Portmore players more look on par with that of the Central players. On Friday night, the Central players, they certainly dwarfed the Arnett Gardens players, even though Arnett in the end played much the better football and deservedly came out 2-0 winners to put themselves a spot in the final tonight. This is Ewan Grandison. Thought about a shot. He's that audacious. Decided against it because he had Lynch moving forward, Harriet moving forward, and East moving forward. Again, London has got to be very careful. He was cautioned for an incident that he almost wanted to repeat. Here's a long-range effort from Morris, and it's just not going for Cardo Morris at all.
Hasn't been playing well, Wayne. I did say his game is to take on people in the middle of the park. He's not known to be the slickest of passers, and hasn't been at his best. Wasn't at his best in the semi-final, has not been at his best now. That was a really poor effort, truth be told.
It's a Portmore United throw over on the far side. The sun has gone behind the clouds, not totally, but enough to present to us a nice, cool afternoon. This is more than ideal for football, for any sport, for that matter. Players players, I'm sure, are enjoying these conditions. They've got a good surface to play on. What more could they want? Just delight the fans. And so far, they have failed to do so.
Again, that's Ricardo Morris with that final pass, not quite timing the run of, I think it was Javanese coming to his left. Just overhitting the ball. Like I said, not having the best of game, but he's good enough, the Portmore number 8, to turn up and cause damage. But at the moment, not playing particularly well.
Meccano. Maybe the coach may need to have a rethink. Let's see what he does with this one. The shot, the pace was taken off the ball by Roberto Johnson. And I was just saying that maybe Turn John would have a rethink and put Meccano to play more in the box, in and around the box, as opposed to playing him wide. He looked very effective on Friday night, and that is why he has gotten the start. So why not do what he did on Friday night, since you were impressed with what he did?
Central FC team seems to have lost a little bit of rhythm. The Portmore team in the last 5 minutes, stringing their passes together, looking to be a little bit more positive, looking to make that transition from defense to attack a little bit quicker, getting more people involved. We're not seeing Thibault win for the Central FC team the same way he was dominating play in the semi-final. I think that is one of the reasons why the Central FC team is not seeing more of the ball in the last 18 yards in the final third. He's gone a little quiet.
Here's Muckett. A shot! Ah! What a goal! What an absolute gem from Dwayne Muckett. We saw glimpses of that on Friday night. And so far, after 27 minutes in this game, he has been the standout player, and quite appropriately, the man who has provided the magic that this game was screaming out for, and it arrived on minute 27. Look at it, a rasping right footer that hit one post, and bam, in the back of the net. A nice quick pass there from Jared London. They have telepathy, they work together well. Muckett knew exactly what London was going to do, and that is why he ran directly to him to congratulate him on the pass. It's Central FC 1, Portmore United 0.
Two things about that win, and I hope the production team will just give us a look at that. Enrico Ricketts, the player for Portmore United, just allowed Muckett to run onto the ball without attending to him, without almost ensuring that he was onto him. There's the kickoff. And Muckett, who I said that maybe 10 minutes ago was the most impressive player on the field, has capped off the first 27 minutes with a brilliant goal. The goalkeepers don't save those. But I think that the Portmore players almost fell asleep on that free kick, allowed Muckett to just creep up on their blind side, unleashed a great shot. And Muckett has scored a great goal.
He has repaid the coach's faith in him. He came on, was given more than a cameo on Friday night, did enough to tell Stern John, I need my game. And Stern obliged. And that's his payment. Here's another one. There's Meccano. Brilliant on Friday night. Ah! Getting on to the end of that one. Just now for the Central team. Akim Armstrong was under pressure, though, from Johnson. And Portmore United have got to wake up in defense.
Yeah, this is a good square from Maracano. And Armstrong, who hasn't seen a lot of the ball. He's been starved of the ball up front. But he really made a good attempt that time around. Could be two. But it would be nice to see the goal again, and just to show you how Enrico Ricketts just allowed Muckett just to almost run past him unchallenged, as Portmore defenders were a little bit lazy on the goal. It's 28 minutes gone. And
just to develop on the point you were making about Muckett going forward and Tibbles not, I think that's a deliberate attempt, because what we noticed on Friday night was that because Tibble was floating the midfield most times when the Arnett Gardens team came calling, no one was there for Central. So I think the instruction now is for Tibbles to stay more at home and be a stabilizing factor in the middle of the park, so they have a bit more stability while they allow Muckett to roam and float around wherever he wants to. That's my thinking behind it, because I noticed Tibble not going forward a lot either. Portmore United, they have not taken the lead so far in this tournament, this Final Four weekend I'm talking about. They trailed 3 times and eventually 4 and couldn't come back on Friday. And today, they're trailing again.
Well, that was a foul. And a lot is similar to that goal that they have conceded. We'll just look at this play.
Lynch. Willis. Will he go for a shot? It's within his reach. No. He brings Harriet into the play. Harriet was trying to rush that cross. He had maybe a yard or two on Neptune and really could have held the ball up a bit before trying to get it in. Now he tries again. Not bad, but Cyrus was standing in the way. They'll have to start it over all again, Portmore United. We are on the half-hour mark, and it is a Central team. Look at this nice, beautiful condition. The players are enjoying this, I'm sure, but maybe not so much Portmore United because they've got to get back into this game. And to the fans over in Trinidad and Tobago in particular, since it's a Central team playing, we want to say good evening to you. Yeah, of course, we welcome all the viewers right around wherever you are watching Flow Sports 1.
The Portmore coach, Savard Thomas, will not be too unhappy with how his attackers are playing, Wayne. But defensively, they've looked horrible in the two games we've seen so far. Their central defenders and those covering the wide areas just seem to be dropping asleep, not playing with the kind of spunk and spark and energy that they were in the Premier League. They've been a little lazy in the semi-final before this, and certainly in the goals scored so far. You could also attribute that to defensive laziness, if you want a word for it.
So Portmore United, they've conceded 5 goals in 93 minutes of football. That can't be good. You can't be looking to be a dominant factor in Caribbean football. And between the semi-final and the third place, in a total of 93 minutes, 66 minutes in the first and 27 in this one, you've conceded 5 goals. Cyrus, this is a calm, very, very calm, cool player. This is Muckett. He's tricky too. He has speed, and he also has good vision. Nice sharing of the football. The ball just moving from one side to the next, right across the middle of the park. And Central looked really good going forward and just passing the ball around. Armstrong has also joined Tibble in the middle of the park.
And one of the things that has stood out for me when Muckett has run amok in the middle of the park, I think just he's allowed too much time and space on the ball. He's the player pulling the strings, the most inspirational player on the field, the one doing all the work. But when he touches the ball, sometimes there's nobody there, and he's allowed to pretty much do as he pleases.
Cyrus. Nice give and go. London having a good game too. Apart from that card, he's been spotless in this game. Mercado can't do that. One of the rules of that game, that pass if you like, or that bit of play. Be in control of the football before you try to move away. Here's Willis.
Poor attempt.
The decision making there was absolutely off. The ball should have been played on the left. Can't see why he would have gone for that ball on the right when East was darting down the middle.
I think he was hoping that East would be able to read his mind telegraphically to expect him to be running to the right, but offside. East was doing the right thing, offside. Just poor communication that time. His hand before even controlling the football. He looked to see where the assistant referee or what he was doing, and his guilt was all over that play. Morris. They need Morris to drag his socks up. Willis. Johnson sold him short. Johnson did well to keep possession. Now he has Darren Mitchell over on the far side to contend with, and East went for a one-time shot. Not only is the Central team impressive going forward, most of the players are back, so they're defending numbers and they're attacking numbers. They want this one. His intention is very, very clear. Harriet. Enrico Ricketts. Enrico Ricketts lost the ball a little bit carelessly. Good defending to get it away from him.
Nice aerial battle there. Central coming away with it via the route, the Tibble route, if you like. So Scott Morris sported a nice flowing dreadlock earlier this season. Now he has lost that and clearly has lost a bit of what he had.
Yeah. May have just lost some strength a la Samson after cutting his hair off.
Just have to know why
this is the point I'm making, Wayne. This is Muckett. He's pulling all the strings, and when he picked up the ball at the halfway line, there was nobody within shouting distance of him. Allowed him to make a final pass to Marcano, the blonde-headed striker, which really wasn't the best of passes. But the man who is making all the moves, you want him to be under some challenge when he gets the football. Now we're seeing Grandis moving towards him, but for me, he's being allowed too much time and space on the ball.
And I'm sure my eagle-eyed producer, Brian, will, in short staff, tell us why all the Portmore United players are wearing black armband. Just noticing it. And normally it's an indication of a loss, a death in the family or death of one of the players' relatives or something. Harriet. Sunny wickets. Willis has come short for it. Now he's inching his way into the opposition half. Easton, Lynch, working in tandem. Harriet, skillfully done, nice feet. Now he needs to get a good cross to finish the play. Was a good cross, but Morris and East came under pressure from Tibble and Sampson. As we look at the rerun of that, wonderfully done.
Brilliant
there from Rosario Harriet.
Brilliant by Rosario Harriet. He did make a name for himself not so long ago, Wayne, as maybe one of the best right backs in Jamaica. They started him on the left-hand side in the semi-final for some strange reason. Now he's back in a more familiar role. He's one of the outstanding players of the game so far. He's weighted his pass well, he's run well, allowed himself to be in spaces to receive the ball. Defensively, when he has to be called on, he's done some work as well. Rosario Harriet has done his shift and done his shift well this afternoon.
We're approaching 40 minutes, and it's a Central team. They scored on minute 27 if you're joining us for the first time, and it was a delightful goal from Dwayne Muckett, the number 27. There's dreadlocks just flowing in the afternoon breeze, and it lit up the stadium with a peach of a strike, which I'm sure you'll be seeing at the end of the first 45 minutes. Cyrus has had a very, very good tournament. One of the defenders so far that have impressed me a lot. Outside of being a very big man, he reads well, and he's quite intelligent in going into the tackles, and he uses the ball well as well. Lynch battling for it, sandwich between two central defenders. Always going to be difficult. There's going to always be one winner there.
Yeah, you did speak about Cyrus, the big number 5. That's Stern John. He should be a little bit happier, or the happier of the two coaches.
He needs a good performance here tonight because his team domestically was poor, and he lost in the semi-final, almost outplayed. That Shavar Thomas said he was very, very, very disappointed on Friday night. Not because the team lost. Yes, he was disappointed because they lost, but more so because of the way they played.
Rosario Harriet making a good pass coming back. He's played well.
Here's Grandison. He has the freedom of the Tony Spalding Sports Complex, and he brings Johnson into the play. Another wayward and unintelligent move there from Armando Johnson.
One of the things when we're not seeing the same kind of passes coming over from the left-hand side from Johnson as we're seeing from the right-hand side by Rosario Harriet. Harriet has done well overlapping on the right-hand side and squaring the ball. Johnson on the other side hasn't been as efficient, and that's one of the areas that the Portmore coach may be looking at for the second half.
Back to goal, Javon East. Nice give and go there from the captain. Here's Morris. Clearly wants a shot for himself. Shouldn't even be thinking of that. There's too many options around, and the ball comes back over. And flashing header there from Jeremy Lynch. Wasn't in control of it. He flicked more in hope than anything else because his back was still to goal, and Marvin Phillip had already advanced out of his cage. Hand to ball. Referee Ward spotted it. Didn't have a problem. This is Mercado. They've got to keep a tab on it. He's so fast and very skillful. Decided to be unselfish, and maybe not a bad decision. The execution from Akim Armstrong wasn't the greatest. Managed to get a shot off, which you've got to give him credit for, but I think Mercado could have gone for it.
The angle was, Mercado was probably thinking that the angle was a little bit too acute. Decided to set up Armstrong, who you want strikers to have many touches in a game. He hasn't seen too much of the football, and maybe is a little short on touches. His rhythm may be a little bit off, but as you said, did well to get the shot off while under pressure from the defender.
We're inside 40 minutes. Here's Johnson. So I told you Brian would get the information. So the reason for the black armbands worn by the Portmore players, one of their former players, Kevin Dare, lost his dad, unfortunately, just yesterday. So Kevin Dare, a former national player and a former Portmore United player, and sitting across the Portmore bench, his dad unfortunately passed yesterday, and the players expectedly are mourning his death. Key part of management now, Kevin Joyce there. And this is Ewan Grandison, the captain of Portmore United, strongly built player, nice upper body strength, and a real gem of a midfielder. When he's unsung, he's almost unplayable. Ball in the area, East is lurking. Samson was there to cut whatever danger was there for the central team, and East been very, very forceful. He wants to get the Portmore United team back on level terms heading into the break.
Yeah.
And you're looking at Clive Marshall. He's a manager of the Portmore. There you go. That's Joycey. That's Kevin Dare. Right beside the guy in the cap. That's Kevin Dare. He lost his dad yesterday. Just God alone knows what he must be going through on that bench. As we look at the latest Portmore corner to be swung in from the far side. They've committed far more players than they ever have, Portmore United. And they didn't get the corner to match. An appeal from the central players. Referee says, no problems. Marvin Phillip already has possession. So let's get on with it.
Lynch was trying to do some calisthenics to head to the near post. Twisting and turning his body in all kinds of contortions, but always going to be difficult. This is the point I'm making. Muckett, all areas of space to get that final pass. Why would you give him the freedom to have so much time on the ball when clearly he's the danger man so far for this team? Not only is he the goal scorer, but he's also their chief provider. You've got to deny him the supply from him to the rest. He's just being a little bit too free when he is in possession to virtually decide what he wants to do.
He's kicked over. He's a joint leading goal scorer in the Final Four weekend with Espinal and Centeno, both of Club Atletico Pantoja. They were on target twice in that 4-3 win over this Portmore team. So in that game, 3 players, total 6 goals. One of them involved tonight in this third place playoff. And just to remind you, the winner goes automatically to the Concacaf Club Championships, and that's for next year. And from 2nd to 4th, they all go in the SCL. Yes. And the SCL, in case you're wondering, is the Scotiabank Concacaf League. Here's Central going forward. This is Cyrus. It's Bucket, your goal scorer. His goal came such a long time. Seems as if it was years ago. 27 minutes though it came on. And we'll just like to take this opportunity to explain a bit more to you, since ball is so far away from the Portmore goal. In fact, we've got more time than we even wanted. So the SCCL, of course, it's a CONCACAF Club Championship. That is the one that involving the teams from US Major League and those from Mexico. And that's the one that can carry you, or will carry you if you win, to the World Club Championships to see the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, whomever, the big teams from the different confederations. We're seeing a second yellow card for the afternoon, and this one will go to, we'll tell you in a bit, but the recipient of that tackle was Henrico Ricketts. We can't tell you that. Let's have a look at it again. This is Ricketts, 21. The sliding away there from the man Anthony Wolf, and he caught Ricketts flush and deservedly was shown the yellow card. So let's get back to it quickly before this free kick. So that's the CONCACAF Club Championship, where the big teams in the CONCACAF region, and the other one, the Scotiabank CONCACAF League, it features the teams from the Caribbean and Latin America. Just so you get an understanding while you watch the game, what is going to happen to who and when. Free kick to Portmore United. They've got less than a minute plus added time to get back on level terms to restore parity, and the captain just surveying his options. He has a lot of them because they're strung out across the 18-yard area. That's about 2 or 3 meters away from the 6-yard box. And all the players are nicely bunched up. Colors are beautiful in the area. Lynch getting onto the end of that one. He was under pressure though, and lose himself and the opportunity to give Portmore that leveling goal.
One of the hardest things to do in football is to be at the near post and try that almost a back header towards the back post as the halftime.
We've seen it. This is very rare, but I've seen it before. The referee did not play even a second over. He didn't have a great deal of stoppages over, so I suppose, you know, that was the right decision from him.
Yeah, the referee is saying he'll stop it exactly on 45 minutes. Central FC will walk off in the ascendancy at the moment. Has been a fairly decent game, lacking a little spark for most part. But Central FC 1-0 winner, 1-0 leaders at this point in time. We'll take a break. We'll be back in a while.
Welcome back to the Tony Spalding Sports Complex here in Kingston, Jamaica. It's halftime in the third place playoff of the Flow Caribbean Club Football Championships, and Central FC out of Trinidad and Tobago are leading this game by a goal to nil. Let's look at some of the highlights of the game. This is the early, in fact this is in the first minute of the game. Javanese from Portmore United managed to peel off from his marker and got off a left-footed effort. This was Jared London just pulling down Javanese, and a free kick here from Ewan Grandison, the captain of the Portmore United team, just sailing over Marvin Phillips's goal. And another opportunity here. Jeremy Lynch unable to guide the ball on target at the very least. Was under pressure. Here's a good cross. Well, an attempted, I don't know what that was, but he was trying to catch the goalkeeper unawares, clearly, and it almost worked. And there are one or two flash points, if you like. But look at this goal. Look at this. It was just marvelous. He looked away, and the goalkeeper, I don't know if the goalkeeper thought he was going for a cross, but that was just magical. And Stern John shows his approval and appreciation for that goal. Mercado, almost a minute after that goal, getting a ball in the area, and Akim Armstrong just missing. Portmore United got one or two chances of their own, and they kept huffing and puffing, but the Central team, still, here's another one from Armstrong. It's an acute angle, but still managed to get it away. The second yellow card of the day. And close to the end of the half, another flashing header there from Jeremy Lynch that went behind, and referee Ward says, you know what, I've seen enough of that. All right, so here's a statistic that shows the Central team edging Portmore almost in everything, in the scoreline, in terms of possession, Of course, the shots off target, a total of 8, with Portmore United having more shots off target, and 5 fouls, 6 fouls. It hasn't been reflective really in the physical play. I'm not so sure where we're looking at 6 fouls there. Didn't realize it was so many. And the 2 yellow cards flashed, both of them going to Central. So, Orville, the teams are in their respective dressing rooms getting ready to return to the field for the start of the second half. What would you be telling them if you were the coaches?
I'd be telling Portmore that defensively you've got to be doing a lot better than you're doing. As you pointed out, they've conceded 5 goals in the 1.5 games we have seen here so far. So defensively they've got to be a little bit sharper. Johan Grandison, Wayne, has got to be a little bit more assertive. He does well at passing the ball around, but because he's not taking shots and we know what he can do from long range, he needs to start taking a few more shots to get the defenders coming towards him, so that those defense splitting passes he can exploit from back. So I would ask him to take a few more shots. As for the Central FC team, they are coming into their own. Muckett is running, but I'd want to see Theobald doing a little bit more. He's such a good passer and such a good man at stringing passes. I'd like to see him a little bit more involved. But
all right. So the second half is on its way. Let's go for a break. We've been here, Brian, we've been talking, no, but we're not hearing ourselves either. We're now hearing ourselves. Yeah, man, I was describing the goal. I have not left. So we welcome you back to the Tony Spalding Sports Complex here at Arnett Gardens. Of course, the home club will be playing in the final a little later on tonight. But as you look at the bottom of the screen, the score graphically demonstrated. Central SC out of Trinidad and Tobago. They're leading Portmore United of Jamaica by 1-0. The goal score on minute number 27 by Dwayne Muckett for Central FC. Gets a start tonight, and he has repaid the freight of the coach. The fans are just anticipating the second half, but I think more so the final tonight, where the home club will be involved against Club Atletico Pantoja out of the Dominican Republic. So we expect to see a bit more fans coming in. Looking at the main stands across from our commentary point, and just left of the screen, right at the foot of the screen, the Portmore United substitutes are warming up, and of course the one or two fans taking the opportunity to refresh themselves, you know, and trying to enjoy a very good afternoon. Still afternoon here in Jamaica. Well, it's now evening in Jamaica. It's 6:01 local time, and that's the new chairman of the Arnett Gardens Football Club, which is the home club for this ground, and that's the man in the red shirt. He's been blocked there by the peanut vendor, popular peanut vendor, and the Portmore substitutes. I'm sure they would want to get onto the field, so they're keeping themselves warm just in case they're called upon to go into action a little later. And as we survey the stadium and picking out the interesting fans, the patron there wearing a Concacaf accreditation, and now we're seeing the substitutes for the central team trying to keep themselves warm as well as they get ready for the start of the second half. And the media, members of the media represented here. Of course, they're disseminating the information to the wider public, and it'll be interesting to read the dailies tomorrow, even though you're seeing the live action here on Flow Sports 1 right around the Caribbean and elsewhere. And the man there in the middle, Marcelino Blackburn, used to play here at Arnett Gardens, but he's now representing another rival club, Harborview. But he's always welcome here, lives in the area, and he's played a number of these such Caribbean club games for Arnett Gardens. They call him Bassa, and one or two invitations to the national senior team on occasions. So he's pretty much at home here at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. So the semi-finals, Portmore United, they were involved, and they lost that game by 4-3 as they make their way back out onto the field. Into the four officials, led of course by Kimball Ward from St. Kitts and Nevis, and they're sure in short staff you'll see the central team making its way onto the field once again.
I think both coaches would want their team to play with a little bit more spunk here, Wayne. They started in the really hot afternoon sun, which may have just drained some energy, but it's now cool conditions which will allow the players to run a little bit harder. At one stage, coming down towards the end of the first half, it looked as if both teams had run out of a little bit of steam. We hope that the break will do them well, and that we'll see a little bit more energy coming into the second half.
So the teams are retaking the field. The central team doing so in different groups. Referee Kimber Ward, Stern John and his coaching staff emerging from their dressing rooms and going back into their respective dugout as the Portmore team huddles. No obvious change, and the same 11 that conceded that goal on minute 27 to Dwayne Muckett will have the task of trying to get that goal back at the very least in the early stages of the second half. And central team doing likewise, I'm sure.
One of the things about this Portmore team United team here in Jamaica is that for such a high quality team, they are the defending Red Stripe Premier League champions and have done consistent well in Jamaica's football. They don't have a particularly big fan base, and usually the coaching staff has got to rely on him or on themselves and on the inspirational players to get them going, unlike say an Arnett Gardens whose crowd can be very caught up in the game. This Portmore team need spectators. They are not a team that travels with a lot of people behind them. And at times like this, they certainly would need them.
McCarno will get us on the way for the second half. He's wearing one of those fancy mercurial boots, debuted by Nike for Cristiano Ronaldo. And then you're seeing them popping up everywhere. Raheem Sterling from Manchester City wears them as well. He's one of those who advertises for mercurial brand for Nike. And wayward pass to start the second half from Central, giving up early possession to Portmore United. This is Roberto Johnson.
If Portmore are to do well here, Wayne, Roberto Johnson will have to do a little bit better when he goes down the wing and attempting to make crosses. We saw Rosario Harriet doing his fair work on the other side of the field. Johnson will have to come into his own.
So quiet start, the lights are on. Wolf. Sampson. They assured Cyrus. This is Darren Mitchell. Throwing to Central. It's a minute gone in the second half. They have that very all-important lead in this game. We remind you, from second to fourth, they all play in the Scotia Concacaf League. And both teams will share evenly $30,000 US at the end of this one, whether it ends in regular time or with the taking of penalties. Damana Solomon. Now a national player. And you look at the Portmore bench, Shavar Thomas.
They're not looking particularly happy. This is a team that is a little bit short on inspiration, you would think. Shavar Thomas is struggling just to get his charges playing their best football. It's maybe not easy to lift them after that semi-final loss, but this Portmore team needs an inspiration from somewhere. They need a goal, they need a lift, and they're not getting it from the smattering of spectators that they have here. Maybe one of their top players has just got to take it onto himself just to create something.
Mitchell. Good cross. McConnell under pressure from Willis. Tibble. Mitchell. Tibble and Mitchell just working the ball in a very tight space on the near side, and it results in a throw to the Central team. Going forward to do the honors, Anthony Wolf. I suppose you could say Central FC, they've picked up from where they left off, because they were asking most of the questions in the first half. Stern John trying to direct traffic from his technical area. It's a long throw in the area, cleared away there by Osani Ricketts. But Central keeps possession. Overhit.
Yeah, the pass is overhit. And there were people there advancing who could have made a difference. Armstrong and Marcano were in the middle, but too much muscle behind that cross. And in the end, it amounted to nothing.
Let's see which of the two coaches will blink first in terms of their substitution. And the coach that's leading tends to keep his powder dry until he sees what the opposition has to offer, because they still have to come to him because they're leading. This is Jeremy Lynch.
And when Jeremy Lynch picked up that ball, there wasn't too many options for him to pass to. The Portmore players not coming out together, not attacking in numbers, and therefore Lynch had to almost be trying something. You want players to be advancing together and defending together, and Portmore found a little wanting.
Tantalizing ball in the area, no problems at all for Trinidad and Tobago's #1. Literally. McConnell, good bit of skill to get the ball over the head of Johnson, and went for a one-time shot from distance. Needed to get the reverse swing on that if it was going to trouble Kemar Foster in goal for Portmore. But nice piece of improvisation. You like to see players try things. It's about as much as getting the result, entertaining the crowd as well. And that was a nice bit of improvisation from Ricardo. Morris forced to turn the ball back. Almost had nowhere to go just now. Ricketts gets Portmore throw, so they're inching closer to the central SC danger area. The attack is now centered on the near side. Morris comes forward to collect. Again, another of his passes.
Poor pass from
gone astray.
He looks to be carrying a few extra pounds weight. And 2 years ago, he was a lot more lithe in his build and therefore a lot quicker. Still has some quality, but he's lost a yard or two of pace. Maybe because he's carrying that extra pound or those extra pounds. And just not quite the player he used to be. I don't want to seem as if I'm giving him such a hard time, but because he's such a quality player at his best, it's easy to spot when he's not playing the kind of quality football that we know he can play. There is he. When he's unsung, he dismisses people for fun. He's really doing that this time around.
The Arnett Gardens team is now in the house, getting ready for their semi-final. No sign yet of the Club Atletico Pantoja team, but I'm sure they'll get here shortly. They're not here as yet, but the Arnett Gardens team is already in the house. Unmissable final tonight. Mars. Johnson. There's no real pattern to the Portmore United play. They're just passing the football around, but you can't see what they're working out. Oftentimes you see teams move the ball around the field and you can read what they really want to get to. That's the Arnett Gardens team there. They're bright red and white. Had a good night on Friday, and I'm sure they're hoping for a better night tonight.
Yeah, like I said, the Portmore team is playing like a team that's a little short on motivation and inspiration. It's not that they are not trying, but we're not seeing that extra zest, that extra effort.
Here they come against Central. This is Mitchell, Tibble, London. This boy has had a really good game. It's a bit of a hothead, but he's really, really putting on a good show here for the Central FC team today. And himself, Tibble, and Muckett, when he happens to be in there, have posed a lot of problems for the Portmore midfield because they're really running the show. This is the man of Solomon, MVP of the local Premier League final in Jamaica, just for the final game, came MVP. The MVP for the season, you'll see in the next game. Did manage to get on the score sheet on Friday night, but he doesn't stay off the score sheet for long. And that's not a good omen for the Atletico Pantoja team. But let's see when we get to that massive, unmissable final tonight.
I don't think it will take the Portmore team too long to get Venton Evans in, the number 12, who has real pace going on that right-hand side. We saw him using it to good effect in that first semi-finals. They need to do something from a Portmore perspective. They need a spark. They need an extra touch, something. At the moment, they look a team that's just basically just going through the motions, really.
Morse is taking the ball almost off the thigh of Tibble. Still Morris. And that just sums up the night he's having. And I wouldn't be surprised. He's not one of those players that you want to take off because of his influence and his ability and the quality that he possesses. And you always feel that next good play is always around the corner because he has it in him. But I wouldn't be surprised if Shavar decides that he's got to try something else and either move him in another position or take him off. Here's Javanese looking for Morris. Pass just didn't quite get to him.
Javanese Swain is being stabbed, and part of the reason why Javanese is being stabbed,
because Morris is not having a good game.
There you go.
Grandison. That's un-Grandison-like. Normally he gets a full-blooded shot on target. That one was right up his alley.
And Ricardo Morris is playing just behind the two strikers. I like to see him in wide areas because he does well dribbling down the wide areas and getting across it. Now he's playing a little bit more central where there's a lot more traffic and he's not really getting by people. He's not providing that final pass to Javanese. And neither fish nor fowl at the moment. And Javanese has not looked as good as he can look because he's not getting the support from people like Morris behind him.
Just now, Muckett apologizing to his teammates. He went for a shot from maybe about 25, maybe 26 yards out. It was ill-advised. You don't beat a quality goalkeeper like Akimar Foster with that kind of shot. But I suppose his confidence, I mean, it's running through his vein now because of that good goal he scored in the first half. Why not go for another? But that was just a bit too much, and quite rightfully, he apologized to his teammate. Nice telescopic left foot stuck out there from Cyrus to prevent that ball getting to Javanese.
Yeah, and if you notice, that pass was hit from defensive area up to the forwards up front, because the midfielders for Portmore are not doing as well as they can. Johan Grandison is having an okay game. There's the foul. There's a Javanese called offside. A little bit tight, because he did look maybe just in line, but the referee always in a better position. The assistant referee, that is. But you want your midfielders to be doing some work. And at the moment, Morris is turning up a little bit short.
Game has lost a bit of its sting. Urgency lacking in Portmore, but not so much Central FC. So it's a third place game, and it looks like one.
Yeah,
it has the feel of a third place game as well. Here is Mercado. Ricketts, shoulder to shoulder, bicep to bicep. Nothing wrong with that. If you look in the middle of the park, Morris is the only one there for Portmore United, and Tibble mostly staying at home. And the solidity that they need, that was so lacking or so missing in midfield on Friday against Arnett Gardens, Sturgeon has decided to make sure that he corrects that by giving Muckett the floating role, and Tibbles directing traffic as usual, but not straying too far from that midfield area. He's always there when they come, which wasn't the case on Friday. He's either always coming back from one of the forward movements or just went missing. Now he's staying. Here's Portmore coming forward, looking for that equalizing goal. And the Ricketts tried to get a shot off. In fact, he did. And he wasn't so sure. In fact, he looked across to the assistant referee. Play the whistle. Concentrate on what's in front of you. And he lost a bit of momentum by looking across to the assistant referee. That took a bit from him.
Yeah, it was a good build-up between Morris and East and company. Portmore making a substitution here.
So there are two Ricketts on the field, Asani and Enrico. So Sharp came on Friday night as well, and of course he'll start from the bench tonight as well. So let's see what he brings to the table. Roshane Sharp, and he has replaced the number 21 Enrico Ricketts. A chance for Portmore United, and they have equalized. Well, they have. In fact, Rosario Harriet running away in celebration, and it's 1-1 here at the Tony Spaulding Sports Complex. Not sure who got the final touch on that one, but that man there, the number 19, Rosario Harriet, is claiming the goal. Let's have a look at it again. Here's a corner from Johan Grandison. Harriet went high. Did it come off anybody else? Perhaps a central player, if anything, yes. It took a deflection of the number 8. That's Akim Armstrong. And it might just go down as an own goal from Trinidad and Tobago's Central FC. But it doesn't matter to him or his teammates. What matters is that they have restored parity.
Rosario Harriet has been having a great game. Rosario Harriet has done well in running down the wings and squaring the ball, but he's also a very good header of the ball. He's one of the taller players on the field. He did well. He rose above the defenders, did the right thing in heading it down, because once you head it down towards that 6-yard box, any deflection, any ricochet, and it can end up in the goal as it did then. Good play, not the greatest of defensive work from the Central FC team, but we've seen many of those goals. It's now 1-1. They've restored parity, and Rosario Harriet getting good rewards for having a good game so far.
Well, let's see if this will change the mindset of the Portmore players, because clearly it seems as if they were not here. And Sturgeon is responding to that goal, and he's going to be bringing in Tyrone Charles and Akeem Armstrong, the player who that ball deflected off. He's going to be sacrificed. So that's his response to that goal, that equalizing goal from Portmore United.
Rosario Harriet, when there he is on the left side of the attack once more. He started off on the right. Started off in the left in the previous game, right in the first half of this game. There's a substitution. The coach using Rosario Harriet all over the park. Here's a cross. Well, not quite.
Just wanted to see how Stern John would have greeted Armstrong if he was going to, give him a hug, consoling hug, because it must have been playing on his mind. The ball really and clearly came off him. Not sure if the goal has been credited to Rosario Harriet. We could find that out shortly, because it clearly came off Armstrong. Doesn't mean that Harriet cannot be credited, but we'd love to know for sure. Here's Mitchell. Charles right into the thick of things already. He was one of the players that we built up on Friday night. Had an okay game, but he's capable of more than an okay game. One of the experienced heads in the central team, and Trinidad and Tobago national as well. Let's see if he can have a much better showing in the last, 30 minutes that he's been given. We're on the hour mark, and it's 1-1. It's status quo, as you were.
One of the things that has made the Central FC team not as dominant in the first 15 minutes here is the fact that Muckett has not been as dominant in the first 15 minutes here. In the first half, he was running the show, and his team went into the halftime break with a 1-0 lead. In the second half, in the 15 minutes that we've had, Muckett has hardly been seen on the ball, and his team has lost that little battle in midfield, which Portmore is exploiting. For them to come back into the game, the Central FC, then they want Muckett to be having the type of game that he had in the first half. He seems to have gone off the ball a little bit.
So Charles has joined the midfield trio. Player's been called back. Seems as if East handled the ball. Let's have a look at it. Did he? No, it was a high boot there. Almost in the chest of Samson. And the referee, quite rightfully, called the play back, and also having a word with the East. Yeah, that was bordering on dangerous play.
East has been starved. He's not getting the kind of service up front. We know that if he gets the opportunities, he's likely to put them away. But the passes coming up to him has not been great. And that was maybe out of frustration as much as anything else. Let's see what Morris does with this.
Here's Grandison. We'll call Rosario Harriet the goal scorer for now, until we get confirmation on whether he has been accredited with the goal. Skillful work there by Grandison. He's under a bit of pressure. Didn't manage to complete the play. But Muckett, man who scored the opening goal of the game so long ago, 27 minutes, on minute 27. Yes, just like we figured. So Armstrong, it's been deemed an own goal, because it took a massive deflection of Armstrong. Here's a chance. Ah, what a rifle from the right foot of Jeremy Lynch. Portmore United celebrating for the first time this weekend. They've managed to take the lead, and they have to dance the match. It was a rocket of a shot from Jeremy Lynch. 2-1 in favor of Portmore United.
Yeah, and that goal was just brilliant. Look at East. East did some work to manage to get away from the defender. There could have been a handball involved in there as well, but Lynch gets the opportunity. Look at the dance. I don't know what this dance is, but it was a rollicking finish. And Portmore United takes the lead.
Shabar Thomas, the coach, is happy with that. Goal on minute number 63. So Portmore United, for the first time, taking the lead. They trailed 3 and eventually 4 times in the semi-final. They trailed here, and now, since the start of this half, they've managed 2 goals, and they are in front. They're leading Central FC by 2 goals to 1. And this is what the scoreline normally looks like whenever these 2 teams meet. Can Portmore United keep it to the end of the game? Only time will tell.
Yeah, and as I was saying, one of the reasons why this Central SC team, that is Muckett, he has, for some reason, inexplicably just looked at a different player entirely. There is he, did a lot of work in the first half, was, for my money, the top player in the game in the first half. And in the 18-19 minutes in the second half so far, he's been missing in action. Maybe he put in too much work. Maybe he's just completely run out of steam. But the fact that he has gone off the boil, his team has gone off the boil, and it's not coincidental. Here is
Portmore United with the bit between their teeth. Here is the goal scorer, Jeremy Lynch. He has Grandison. He has Harriet. Harriet gets a delightful cross. Morris could have brought that down. He had maybe 2 or 3 meters on the man who was supposedly marking him, and he could have brought that down into a lot with it. He was in the 18-yard area, so sure his decision-making wasn't the greatest on that occasion.
He could have taken it down, said good afternoon, waved to the public, and then still have a chance to make a shot. Just didn't realize how much space he had around him. And when players are not playing particularly great, that is one of the things that can happen. Here's Morris. Instinctively, they know where they are relative not only to the goal, but to the players around them. And Morris that time around had more space than he realized. Just not having the best of games. I know I've said that for a while, but it's just true. He's a much better player than what he's showing.
So mad race to keep the ball in. Harriet, not the fastest. And the fact that he kept it in, it tells the ball wasn't running at a swift pace. Here's Charles. Wolves' long pass up front to Macarno. Got only as far as to Roberto Johnson. Here's a chance for the Central team to start it all over again. And no sooner had I said so, Lynch took it away. And East has been sent on his way. He needs to hold the ball up. He doesn't have a great deal of support. Nice move here from Lynch. And he handled the ball. Didn't manage to get it between the two players.
One of the tactical moves that the Portmore coach has made when Johnson was making some overlapping runs on the left-hand side in the first half, the coach has basically asked him to stay at home, but he has brought over Rosario Harriet onto the left-hand side. Rosario Harriet is playing almost exclusively wide on the left in the number 19 shirt. So Johnston is asked to stay at home in that left-back position. Harriet brought over to the left-hand side wide to make those runs down the left-hand side. That's one tactical move that may be paying off so far.
Asani Ricketts with the clearance of Portmore United. They lead this contest by 2-1. And the Jamaican public was looking for an all-Jamaican final. And Club Atletico Pato spoiled the party. And they're left with Trinidad against Jamaica. And the form of Central and Portmore United, which I suppose will suffice for any final, such as the rivalry between these two teams. The Darren Mitchell is down, and he kicked over from behind by, of all persons, East.
I think that could have been a yellow card. You don't just kick the opponent from behind like that. It was a horrible piece of play.
Good work there. Wonderful defending there from Willis. Neptune tries to swing it in. Not too sure what he wanted to do with that ball. Macarno was asking him what kind of decision was that. So Central will be making another substitution. In fact, Jared London has been substituted. And Cadian Gabriel has been inserted.
London has been taken off. He's been okay in that deep defensive central position. But they probably will bring on Gabriel to do a little bit more running. 2-1 down. It's just about 23 minutes in regular time.
So we're looking there at the Club Atletico Pantoa team. They've made their way into the facility, and it's almost like a united nation of players. They have only 5 Dominican Republic nationals in that squad. They've got players from Haiti, from Brazil, from Suriname, one from Colombia as well. So, and they do look like a very slick moving team. Can't wait to see them tonight. Here is Morris. Sharp. Try again, Sharp. Morris. Nice give and go. Ball has been taken out of that crowded area and played over into the calm, serene left side where Harriet was. And Morris is straying in the offside position.
Morris is doing a little better in the final minute or two. What you want him to do is move. Let's see this offside. Was it maybe a tight? There's a defender just a little bit closer to the line at the pass.
That wasn't offside.
At the time the pass was made, yeah, I agree with you.
That wasn't offside. The referee got that one wrong.
Yeah, there was a player closer to the line than Morris was at the time the pass was made. Here is Muckett.
Cyrus played him on.
Yeah. Muckett, for some reason, has just gone cold. Here is he now. Maybe getting a second wind.
Wolf. Tempted pass to Gabriel, cut out, but Gabriel gets it back fortuitously. Spreads it wide. Finds Neptune. Neptune has Sharp on him. Macarno, he too has not really had a good second half. Didn't really have a good first half, if you ask me.
Yeah, he's full of running. You can't fault him for effort when the ball is spread in his direction, but he lacks those little touches, lacks those little skills to beat the defenders one-on-one. And for the most part, has put in a good shift as far as effort is concerned, but has not proved threatening in any way.
Here's East. Ball went into touch, and they're throwing to the central team. So officially, just about 20 minutes to go in this game. And Stern John has seen a lead slipped away from his team. Oh, he'd love to regain that lead.
Now Mockett is calling for the ball a little bit more wind. Seems to have gotten that second wind. You can know when players are in the game, they want the ball. Now he's getting the ball, he's detecting it, and look at the, well, not the kind of quality pass that he can make, but he's now a little bit more involved, and you expect to see his team now having more possession in midfield.
Sharp just slipping at the vital moment, and Shavar Thomas not one to really shout at his players, but he was having a go at one of his players just now, clearly unhappy with something. Young coach, and a coach who a lot is expected of. First time in the Premier League here in Jamaica, and he's won it with this Portmore United team. And not only won it, he won it going away, almost Manchester City-esque. As we look at this rerun, Charles was all over East, and right in front of the assistant referee. Very easy call.
Awkwardly just tumbling into his man.
Just talking about Manchester City. The Premier League in England came to an end today. What's the sense you have weekends now? Morris. Lynch. Morris will go for it himself. Not a bad attempt. Like the idea. Philip was yards off his line, and Morris was thinking, he spotted him and decided to go for it. Just needed to have kept it down a bit. I like the idea.
Should have made the goalkeeper made a save though. Didn't have anybody on him, had time on the ball, had the ability and the opportunity to pick a spot. Should have been a little bit closer to the goal than that.
Mitchell had a good game on Friday night, not so too much tonight. So had an okay game. So Central will be making their third and final substitution in a short time. And Gibson taking his documents to Rondell Gibson taking his documents to the fourth official, who today is Castellano Lopez out of Guatemala, and Tibble for the second game running will be sacrificed. In the meantime, Portmore looking to put a bit of protection around that 2-1 lead, and East, the top of the D, well, in fact, top of the 18-yard area, needed to have kept that down just like Morris before him and give the goalkeeper some work.
It was a great pass from Lynch, who looked to be going one way and then eased it towards Javan East. His finishing has not been particularly great in this game, and he definitely wants to have that one back, because I think again he should have at least forced a save from the keeper from that range.
Grandison, no one apparently, that's what he's saying. No one tells me somebody's on me. You can see he's shrugging his shoulders, saying, why you guys don't talk to me? So the substitution will now be made. Rondell Gibson. Of course, this is all the cards now that Stern John has at his disposal. He's used them all, and let's see what it will bring him.
I don't mind this change. I think Theobald is good in that stabilizing role in the center of the park, but he has not been particularly effective as getting his team forward. They need goals. They need at least one more to tie the game. And it's a change that you can understand with your team trailing.
Sampson. Lynch putting on the sprint late in this game. Mockett. That was the goal in which he scored in the first half. He's playing the ball back to his goalkeeper, Marvin Phillip. Maybe memories of that goal came flashing back to him. I'm sure he realized that he's now kicking in an opposite goal. This is Sampson. Gabriel has come short to take it. And under pressure from Willis, gives a return to Sampson. Now the ball is suddenly over on the far side. And the Trinidad and Tobago Central FC making progression through Dennis. There's a man who just came onto the field, Gibson, Rondell. Mocket loops the ball over and was looking there to pick out Armstrong, was it?
No, it's Tyrone Charles.
He's looking to pick out Charles, but too much. It's a bit too much on it. It was overcooked. And it gave Kemar Foster an opportunity.
I like what he's now doing, though, because you want him, as such a good passer of the ball, to be making final passes as opposed to be making passes playing the ball around. This could be, the referee could have an interest here, a player holding on to his face, suggesting that there was an elbow.
Well, he has a card in his hand, and he's going to show it to Jeremy Lynch, and Lynch is protesting, saying, no, I did nothing wrong, Mr. Referee. And players are inevitably going to do that. Let's have a look at it to see if he has a case. Left a trailing. Well, Cyrus was pulling his shirt, but his crime was that he left a trailing left hand, I think, and that was enough for the referee.
I think that was a little bit harsh, to be honest. I don't think there was any malice or any intent. I don't think that was even dangerous, but I think it was well sold by the player. The referee bought it. I just didn't think Lynch on that occasion should have deserved a yellow for that.
Here's Rosario Harriet charging down the left channel and giving chase here for Central. A chance here for East. Miscued. Still a chance. And now Cyrus gets a chance to clear it away for Central FC. But he miscued the first time, and that gave the defenders a chance to come back. And come back they did, and prevented a third Portmore United goal.
Great pass from Rosario Harriet. As we said, he's been asked to do a lot more going down the wing and square down the left-hand side while Johnson stays home. And Javon East, I said it 2 minutes ago, seems to have forgotten how to shoot to goal. And such a quality player has seen his fair share of opportunities. Can't complain that he hasn't got it.
This is Gabriel. And Foster leaving his line.
And here's the opportunity. This is Rosario Harriet going down the left-hand side. Did well. Picture perfect cross. And going with his left foot was Javon East. The goalkeeper did well. But that, you'd have to say, was another wasted opportunity.
But where was the marking? A prolific striker like East, left alone. There was nobody within 2 or 3 meters of him. Where was the marking? There were 3 Central defenders in the area, and absolutely none of them were close to him. In the meantime, the goalkeeper, Kemar Foster, is down. He's favoring his left knee. And referee Ward has more than a bit of interest. He's gone so far to ask the medical personnel to come onto the field. We get a chance to see the Portmore United team in their final substitution. Ronde Smith is coming on, and Jeremy Lynch. I think his number has been called, is it?
Yes.
So Lynch will leave the field having scored that go-ahead goal for Portmore United.
Not sure I'd be taking off Lynch, to be honest. He's one of the players that continues to look threatening to the opposition's goal. I don't see the wisdom in taking him off and having Morrison on the field. He isn't happy at being asked to come off the field either, and I can understand. Not only has he scored, but he's looked one of the better players in attack. But maybe the coach has decided, well, we are leading 2-1. Maybe we'll take a little bit more defensive approach, or maybe the player carrying a little nickel. But on the face of it, this is a change that I would have made.
So, Ronde Smith is making his way onto the park. And the coach says, okay, give me 10 flat-out minutes. Let's have a look at this latest opportunity. Gabriel is coming, and this is how the injury happened to Kemar Foster. He's back up now, and able to kick the ball deep down the field. This is Javon East. Smith immediately in the action.
Looking a little clumsy there was Smith. Running over himself. Getting tangled in his own feet.
Ricardo had Shawnee Ricketts all over him. Stern John is asking, where's the card? Calling back the play and giving a free kick isn't enough, is what the former Trinidad and Tobago international seems to be saying on that occasion. And referee Ward, like the control that referee Ward has had in this game, is almost always right there, always at the scene of the crime and ready to adjudicate. And just now we took out that bit of foam to mark the spot from where the free kick should be taken. Of course, we saw it for the first time in the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, just like we saw the Vuvuzelas for the first time in 2010 in South Africa, and like for the first time cards were used at the World Cup in 1970, and we could go on and on and on. But it's a free kick to Central from over on the far side. Charles standing menacingly over this one, surveying his options. He's got quite a few, you know. Swings it in, and it's met there by the Portmore captain, Ewan Grandison.
It's a poor free kick, didn't give his players much options. You want them to be floated up to give your players at least a 50-50 chance. That one was too easy to be.
Chase is on, and Gabriel much the faster. So it's a clash of the 15s, and Gabriel outsprinted East and gets the return pass from Marvin Phillip, his goalkeeper. Portmore called up on now to defend. Gabriel is all over the park. He's involved in every bit of play for Central here. This is the new man, Smith. This ball just moving from one side of the field to the next. And feeling the players are just playing out these last few minutes. A penalty shootout would be an exciting proposition, but
I think when there's no extra time, if the scores are tied, they go straight to penalties. Portmore would be hoping that they keep the score exactly this way. The Central FC team would hope that they can pull one back from somewhere. Look how wide East is.
No worry, no hurry to get the ball in the area. They're just managing the game now, Portmore United. Didn't manage to get the kind of elevation he wanted on that Ricardo Morris. Ricardo kicked over in the middle of the park. The referee says your team has the ball, so let's play the advantage. And quite correctly so. This is Cyrus. Wolf hasn't ventured upfield at all. Every time he gets the football, he makes the pass from that very same position. You're not going to see him move from there. So it's very strange that he has an opportunity where he could charge down the right channel.
That's good defensive work from the Portmore number 6. That is Willis. Staying behind his man. Didn't commit the kind of foul that would create any cards, but just ensuring that the player wouldn't get by him.
Free kick to Central. Charles with the free kick again. This time he swings it deep in the area, and the goalkeeper pulled away from his area. The ball is still alive, is it? Yes, it is. But Portmore United gets it away quite easily in the end. And Smith trying to bulldoze his way past the two Central players. Was never ever going to do that. It does seem as if he doesn't possess too much raw skill to beat a player. It's more size and pace.
Big and bustling. That's the second time in about 3 minutes that he's been asked to do a number 1-on-1, and looked to be, you know, just tangling around his own feet.
Throw into Central. Muckett has gone across to assist.
I'm disappointed in Muckett's game. For some reason, he's just too good a player in the first half. It couldn't be just losing wind. Usually players, and I know that this is a generalization that may not always be true, but usually when you see players of dreadlocked hairstyle, one thing you usually can say about them is that they're usually quite fit. Muckett has just completely lost it. I wouldn't want to think it's fitness, but it may not be anything else, because when he does get the ball, he usually does a few good things with it. It's gone completely off the boil, and with it, the fortunes of his team.
It's Kamara Foster with the ball in his hand for Portmore United. Long kick downfield. Precious laboring and playing out the last few minutes of this one. Central doesn't seem to be showing a great deal of interest. As I say, at the end of this game tonight, irrespective of the outcome, both will end up in the Scotia Concacaf League. They both end up there, and they'll both be leaving here tonight with $15,000 each. No, sorry, from second to fourth will go through. Franciscan from Martinique on Wednesday. So the loser here will play Franciscan from Martinique for that place. So the loser doesn't automatically go there. They still have to play off against Franciscan. So based on what we have, if the score doesn't change, Central will have a few more days in Jamaica.
And look at Javanese Dwayne. He's one of the team's most attacking players. But with just about 4 minutes of regular time, he's opted to come back a little bit deeper. And has Grandison now going forward. He has to be taking a shot.
And he's injured, Cyrus. But no, Cyrus is still hobbling around from the effects of that powerhouse of a shot from Ewan Grandison.
Not sure why.
Back a good amount of power in that right foot of his.
Not sure why Grandison is reluctant to pull the trigger. He's one of the most deadly kickers of the ball in the Jamaican Premier League, but he seems reluctant to shoot. Not sure why.
Well, just now the ball wasn't settled. The ball was still hobbling around, and he was waiting on it to settle enough for him to shoot. He's not shy of shooting at all, you're right. But just now we had to be cautious because the ball was hobbling around and he could have injured himself. Yellow card, and this will go to Ricardo Morris. And I suppose this sums up not only his night, but his championship.
Yeah, a little lack of fitness there as barging into his man. But what has happened here, Wayne, is that Javanese has dropped off in the middle of the park. Look at this, just barging into his man. Hasn't had, I've said it repeatedly, not his best game this.
Cyrus has been to the wars and back. Just now we saw a massive shot from Grandison, just left him with a bit of pain on his right foot, and just now Ricardo Morris barging into his back. So in the last 2 or so minutes he's really felt the might of the Portmore players, and two of the strongest and more aggressive Portmore players at that. This is Ricardo, waiting on the delivery, actually asking for it. Osani Ricketts in the meantime just trying to organize his defensive area. He doesn't want to concede at this stage because there could be no coming back, and it could force them into a situation where they're into a penalty shootout. They endured that in the Premier League final here in Jamaica and came through it quite nicely. Not sure they would want to do it again tonight. It's not the best situation to be in. Long ball over into an open space. Morris only has the small matter of getting by Jamil Neptune. Didn't manage to do so.
He should have controlled the ball. He had the opportunity to control the ball. He's playing like a man who isn't as fit as he should be, and just allowed the ball carelessly to run past him. Javanese has dropped off in the midfield a little bit, and they've advanced Morris to a more attacking position.
Two finalists have disappeared into their dressing rooms, and we remind you to stay with us at the end of this game. After the post-game interviews and all, we're going to be building up to the big final, unmissable final. Two ultra-attacking teams, two teams who are skillful at playing this game of football. But we still have a matter of about a minute and a half or two to go in this third place playoff, with Portmore United will have another 1 minute here plus 3 added. So in total 4 more minutes at the very least to go in this game.
Yeah, and I think that at this stage the Portmore United team will just back off a little bit and will just try to maintain this 2-1 lead.
And here's where you're going to find the Portmore players more reluctant than anything else to go forward. They just want to make sure that they protect what they have here. Only 4 minutes to play, 3 minutes to play actually, and they want to see this one out. In the meantime, this is Gabriel. Gibson. Long high ball. Well done. Central FC. Chance to get the ball in the area. And the goal kick. It's a corner. The last touch came off. Shane Ricketts. I thought that last ball came off Muckett. Did look as if it come off Muckett. And you see the officials adjudicating, having a little chat about it. They've already decided that 3 minutes. And that's a confirmation of it. Ball in the area dangerously once again. You see that again. Just think that the last touch came off Muckett. Now here's Javon East. Trying to beat two defenders. Still East. Ball bubble. Came off his hand. Referee clearly was getting ready to call the play back. But then he noticed that Gibson was in control and there was no need to interrupt the flow of the play, where Central was in possession and they're trailing. Here is Muckett over on the far side. And he swing this one in. And no option. Mercado. Gibson tumbled over in the area. Almost like a choir. The entire Central team shouting in unison, "Ref!" Wanted a penalty. The referee Ward says no.
It was never ever going to a penalty in that. In fact, I've seen referees giving yellow cards for simulation, for things like that. Never a penalty. But at this stage of the game, player had nothing to lose. Let's try something, you never know. Referee may give you the call.
Gabriel trying to give Johnson the run around. Johnson not falling for it. Ball coming off him though for another corner. So Central, they're racking up the corners. Late in the piece, they have just about a minute and a half to go in this, the third place playoff of the Flow Caribbean Club Football Championships on Flow Sports 1.
Good defensive work by Johnson. Didn't fall for the histrionics that the player was going on. Kept his eyes on the ball.
Charles with the corner. A chance for Central. Miscued shot there from Muckett. Could have had a double had he gotten a full-blooded shot on that one. And let's throw in this time to Central. So they're ending with a flourish. The Trinidad and Tobago based club, they still believe that they can bring this game to a penalty shootout. Portmore resolute and determined not to allow that to happen. And even the goalkeeper has made his way into the Portmore half of the field. Philip. Mercado is there. A header from Damana Solomon. Central will get the possession back through Charles. Very good control. Charles again. Gabriel. Charged down by Solomon. So Portmore having to withstand some late pressure here from the Central team, who are hell-bent on taking this to penalties, but the time is against them. They have just a matter of 30 seconds in this game, and the Portmore United player is down injured, and it looks like Roberto Johnson.
Johnson is the man who has gone down. He's maybe suggesting cramps. He wants his boot laces to be untied, which is usually a telltale sign that there's cramps. He's done well in this second half. Has stayed at home, has done the overlapping runs down that left-hand side, has defended well, and is one of the reasons why Portmore has managed to hold on to this lead. That's cramps. Walking on your heels is also usually an indication.
So the 3 minutes of time added on up, but as they say, when the referee adds a time, it doesn't necessarily mean 3 minutes. He says at the very least 3 minutes, because things can happen where we might need to add, and that is what is happening at the moment. Can't see him going for more than another 30 seconds or so. Portmore United seem on their way to a victory, which in the end they would certainly, I'm sure, deserve. This is Morris giving it one last go. Still Morris. Will he go for the shot? Yes, he does. And that should do it. That should be the last bit of play in this third place playoff. And the referee is not going to even wait until the ball comes back into play. He's calling a halt to what has been a decent enough game at the end. And Portmore United coming from behind tonight, unlike they were able to do on Friday night, to win by 2-1. And a deserved victory for them in the end.
A game that saw 3 goals, a game that had its moment of quality, its moment of exciting and interesting play, but a game that also had its period of where both teams never played their best football. The local crowd would be happy that the local team won, but it was a good effort by the Central FC team out of Trinidad and Tobago. There's Stern John, not looking too displeased, just meeting and greeting with his players. Shavar Thomas, the Portmore coach, will be quite happy with the result. There he is, you know, saying congrats and just greeting his own players as well. So Portmore United winning this one by 2 goals to 1.